Hello, welcome back to another episode of Traffic Jam with Cam, and happy 2022. I cannot believe that we're already, how many days? We're already a week into 2022, and it doesn't really feel like it to me. And also, I'm not super excited about this year. I'm not feeling motivated. I'm not feeling inspired to make some goals, which is very unusual for me because I'm definitely a goal-oriented person. I feel like usually I just thrive from making goals and trying to achieve them. You guys know it's my Enneagram type. So this is weird for me, and I'm trying to navigate that right now, and we'll talk more about that in just a minute. But I do have to say that this episode is kind of an everything mixed all in one. So a little life update, what's been on my mind lately, and also a happy 2022, what's going on this year, what are we doing kind of thing. So before we jump into that, I got to give you a week/3-week recap. I know it was 3 weeks since the last episode, because Adam and I were in Idaho for New Year's weekend, and we saw both of our families, and we were in Idaho for almost a week, and it was a much needed break from work, and also just it was nice to not be in Virginia, DC for a second. So this is our first Christmas season, I guess, holiday season, having full-time jobs where like we couldn't take that much time off of work. So that was a really weird and different adjustment that we had to get used to, because usually, when you're in high school and college, you get 2-3 weeks off Christmas break, and I think everybody should get that. Why is that only a school thing? I don't know. It's not very fair. But anyway, we both have our full-time adult jobs now, and we ended up staying here in DC for Christmas. So like Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, we like worked up until Christmas Eve, and then we were here just in our apartment for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, just the two of us. And that was really different, and I was a little bit like nervous about it. I was worried that I would be kind of sad that we wouldn't like see our families around that time or like on that day, but it ended up being really good, and it was fun to make new traditions and have it just be really low key. It was good. I'm glad that we did it. It was a fun experience, and we both were just like, yeah, who knows when we'll, how much longer we'll be in DC and how many times we would be able to do Christmas just by ourselves. So it was a good experience just to see what it was like to have a Christmas just the two of us. So it was very chill. And then the next Monday after Christmas, we just both went back to work and worked for a couple more days. And then the day or 2 days before New Year's Eve, we flew to Idaho. So it was awesome, because even though we didn't get to see our families on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, we knew that we had going to Idaho to look forward to like later that next week. So it was so good to be back in Idaho, see our people. The time went by so fast. But yeah, the break was really nice. I also have to say, coming back to Virginia/DC from Idaho was way harder than I thought it was going to be, and I was so sad to leave. And it's been really hard to be back this week, so I can talk a little bit more about that in a second also. But it's been really sad to be back here. Also, the traffic jam of the week that we have this week has to do with our travels. Both ways, flying from DC to Boise and then back. We flew from DC to Atlanta, and then Atlanta to Boise, and then vice versa on the way back. So the flight from DC to Atlanta is only an hour and a half, luckily. But the flight from Atlanta to Boise was my worst nightmare. It was 4 hours. I do not like flying. I hate it. It's not like because I'm like scared of heights. I don't like being stuck in one place the whole time. Like, it makes me feel panicky. So long flights are not my friend because I just like want it to be over. And if it's like 4 hours long, then it's dreadful. But I gotta say, it was way better flying with Adam than by myself. So that was a huge help. And I think I took it pretty well. So yeah, it was a really long travel day going there and back. But I'm so glad that we got to go. Adam had days saved up that he could take off of work, and I was able to take off a few days of work because our office was closed on the day before New Year's Eve. So one of the flights when we were going to Idaho, we were stuck on the tarmac for almost an hour because they had to de-ice, and then also some poor guy on the plane ran to the bathroom during the safety video, and they had to pause the video and wait until he was done, and he was in there for almost 20 minutes, and the flight attendant knocked on the door and was like, "Are you okay?" And when he finally came out, they had to restart the safety video and de-ice again. So we were very late going to Boise. I thought that was the worst of it, but sadly it was not. That was just on our way there, but on the way back, it was even worse. And it already was so sad because we were leaving to go back to DC. But when we were leaving from Boise, one person hadn't gotten on the plane yet for some reason, and they were like holding it. I don't know why. Also, the flight had already been delayed like an hour to board because the plane was late getting there. So we made it to Atlanta like 2 hours later than we were supposed to, and we would have missed our layover if our Atlanta flight hadn't been delayed either. So luckily and unluckily, our Atlanta flight was delayed. So we ran to make it to our gate, and for whatever reason, they told us once we got there that we were short one pilot, and they had to call one from home to come. So we were in the Atlanta airport. We had made it and we're ready to get on our flight to go back to DC. And they called a pilot from home, and he said that he could come, but he lived 45 minutes away. And so they said they gave him a 2-hour window to get there. So and it took him he almost took the 2 full hours to get there. So we were supposed to leave from that airport originally at 9:30, I think. And we ended up flying at like 11:45. So we got to the DC airport, landed at 1:30 in the morning, and our amazing friend picked us up, and we got home and got to bed by 2 a.m. But both Adam and I had to work at 8 the next morning, and that was awful. So yeah, my traffic jam of the week is that flying sucks. Okay, so now that we've done the traffic jam of the week, I will jump into kind of more of an update of like what's going on in my life and what has been on my mind lately. I can't remember now when the episode was that I did the Idaho versus Virginia and like which one I like better and like the difference between them and what I've kind of learned since being here. And now that it's been, we moved here at the end of April of last year. So it's been 8 months that we've been here. And we've been able to do so much. And I'm really glad that we've had this experience together, like as a couple, to experience living far away from our families and starting our careers and going to this new place that we'd never been to before. Well, Adam had been to before, but had lived here for super long and, experiencing it together, starting our jobs and being away from our families. It's been a really big learning experience and cool experience that I know a lot of people won't get to do, and so I don't want to negate that at all. However, after being here for now 8 months, I feel like I can say that I don't like living here, and it's for like a lot of different reasons. But it's just really different than what I was used to in Idaho. And I always thought that maybe I would be a city girl. I'm sure that I have said this before, that when I was younger, I just always wanted to move somewhere else, like to a bigger city, to see if I would like it and see if I would like that kind of faster paced, big city feeling more than I liked Idaho or what I had, where I'd always lived. And so, moving to a big city was definitely something that I had always wanted to do. And so this was really the perfect opportunity to come and figure out if I liked it or not. And it's just been kind of surprising at how much I haven't liked it. And I think part of it is the pace. Like, everything is just so busy and fast paced here, and people are just like, nobody stops to smile at you, really. Like, when you're walking down the street or like in the grocery store, everyone is in the zone and in their own world. They're focused on like what they're doing and getting their things done. People here are just a lot more focused on their career and on work and their job. People are really passionate about their job here, which I think is awesome. I thought that I would be the same way, and I just don't really feel like that. I don't feel like that is the pace that I want after all, which is really surprising. But I'm glad that I have kind of learned, okay, maybe this isn't what I want, because now I know, like, if I didn't come here, if Adam and I didn't move here, I definitely would always be wondering still if it was for me. But yeah, people are definitely less friendly here than in Idaho. The traffic is horrid, and you guys know that I don't like traffic. I don't like driving. I get really impatient driving, hence the name traffic jam. And yeah, it's pretty bad here. Like, no matter what time of day it is, if you're driving from Arlington or anywhere in Northern Virginia to go into DC, you will always have to slow down and almost stop for traffic on the bridge going into DC or somewhere around there. It's just always going to happen. And also, if you have to go anywhere here, you have to think about where you're going and decide how you want to get there. So you can't just drive everywhere to get where you want to go. Sometimes you have to decide if it would be better to take the metro, and then you have to see if which of the metro lines like get you there. And sometimes if you're far away from a metro station, then you have to take a bus and take the bus to the metro station and then metro. Sometimes it's also better to take an Uber or get like someone to take you somewhere, which is so weird because I had never taken an Uber before living here, and like everyone takes them here because nobody wants to drive. If you drive your actual car, then you have to just be prepared that it's going to be super hard to find a parking spot, so you have to leave really early. And I'd say 80 to 90% of the time, probably 90%, you have to pay to park. So when you go anywhere and you're going to drive your car, you have to leave really early and give yourself plenty of time to be driving around for 10 or more minutes to find a parking spot. And then you have to know that you're going to have to pay to park there. So I really do miss that about Idaho, that there are just parking lots wherever you go. There's sometimes street parking, but a lot of times you don't need street park, and you could just drive your car and get there, and you don't have to think about that. So that's been weird to be here and have to think about those things whenever you want to go anywhere. I also just really don't like that it's far away from our families. Like like I said before, it's been really good for us to be on our own and just have to rely on each other. And Adam is like such a champ about living far away. He is like very independent and just is fine with doing his own thing. And I think that is awesome. That has really helped me to stay calm and like really rely on him when I get stressed or like stressed about living here or like sad about being far away or whatever. He's been a really good support. But yeah, it sucks that if we want to see our families or our friends that are there, we have to get on a plane and have a layover. Like there's no direct flights to Boise from here, and it's just a lot bigger process and travel experience to try to get there than it used to be when we lived, still in Idaho, but when we were in college, like, and could drive 3.5 hours to get to one of our families or less than an hour to get to our other families. So definitely very a lot more difficult to see like our family and friends if we wanted to. In the last few months, we have really sat down and talked about like, okay, how long do we want to be here? How long do we need to be there? Is there a timeline on how long we have to be here before we can have Adam move offices, or even if we do want to leave Virginia, leave the DC area, then where the heck do we want to go? And we just weren't really sure if we wanted to move to another state, but like around here, if we wanted to move back west, but not to Idaho. If we wanted to move back to Idaho, there's just like so many options. So I was a little overwhelmed with that for a while. And we just thought, well, we'll still be in Northern Virginia for quite a while. So we have plenty of time to decide and figure that out. So we weren't really worrying about that for a while. Whenever I was sad or missing home, I was kind of wondering, okay, do we want to move back to Idaho? I don't know. We just weren't really sure. But as time has gone on, probably in the last couple months, I'd say we have felt like we do want to move back to Idaho at some point. We want to be closer to our families. We want to be closer to Idaho and like our families when we have kids. We want to not live in Arlington or DC for forever. We've just been thinking about that a lot and praying about it, and Adam's been looking at some other options for jobs and trying to figure out if he can change location and how that would work. Luckily with dental hygiene, there are dental offices everywhere and people are always looking for hygienists, and so I'm really lucky to have a flexible job where I can kind of find a position wherever we go. And after being in Idaho this last week, it kind of made us realize, yeah, we definitely want to move back to Idaho at some point, and probably soonish, like in the next year, 2 years. And so we're looking at places or like job opportunities, I should say, that are in Idaho and trying to figure out a timeline with that. But yeah, we've both been feeling really good about it, and we both feel really hopeful, but at the same time trying to not to get my hopes up too much, because you just never know with jobs and changing locations and things like that. And Adam really enjoys the job that he has right now, and so yeah, we're just trying to figure that out and see what's next and like how soon that will be. I really hope that it's soon, and he does too. I think we're both like, okay, we've had a really good experience here in DC, and we've been able to squeeze a lot in, and we've done so much and really made the most out of the time that we've been here. And so, if it's we're moving a year from now, then like, look, we still have a whole another year to do everything else that we want to do while we've been here and keep making the most of that time. Another thing that I have really been struggling with, and I've talked to a lot of my friends and family about, and I know that I've mentioned this on here, is I am just not loving clinical dental hygiene. And I am so sad to say that. I've not wanted to admit it because I really was so excited to do dental hygiene for such a long time. And it's not that I don't like dental hygiene itself. It's not that I don't like clinical dental hygiene at all. It's just that the amount of time that I'm doing it right now is just very, very overwhelming. And doing clinical work full time is just very demanding and straining physically. Like, my hands and my wrists from using my instruments all day are just really painful sometimes. A lot of times, I should say. And my back and my neck just get so tired from sitting and leaning over and changing positions. It's really, really hard on my body. And also, it's just really hard mentally too. Like, talking to people all day and doing customer service things and telling adults about the importance of brushing your teeth when that seems like such a straightforward thing to do. It just is very tiring sometimes. And I don't think I was prepared for that aspect in school. Like, in school, you learn how to do the instrumentation, how to use instruments. You learn how to scale and remove calculus and plaque, and you learn about gum health and how to improve gum health, prevent gum disease. You learn about nutrition and the best techniques for brushing and flossing, and you learn about how like systemic diseases can affect oral health and all this stuff. And you learn how to do all of these clinical skills on patients, but you really don't learn like how much stamina it takes, and also how to do like the customer service part, like how you have to be entertaining and be on for 8-9 patients every day. And that is really hard. Like, I come home from work every day and I'm just wiped out. And this is definitely not the only job that's like this. Like, I know there are a lot of jobs that are this way. I've just been surprised at how hard it is. It's just a lot harder than I thought it was going to be mentally and physically. So it's a really difficult job to do full time. A lot of people that are dental hygienists do the work part time, and I think that doing it less would definitely be less hard on your body, and you just have a little bit more energy. But the hard thing is, it's like, when you have the time to work full time right now, you might as well. I was talking to Adam the other day about it, and he was like, well, that's why everyone says it's such a good like mom job. It's like, which is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this, because it's like, oh, there's the flexibility of working 1, 2, 3, 4 days a week instead of full time. There's the option to do that if you need to, so it's really good to have that option, which a lot of jobs don't have. But working full time is not something that a lot of people talk about. And Adam was like, well, that's why everyone says it's a good mom job, because they're all working part time. Like, people that are saying it's a good mom job, they're not doing the work full time, like they're doing it part time. So of course they probably like it more than if they're doing it full time. And I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Anyway, I still am really passionate about dental hygiene, and I love when people ask me questions about teeth and gums and oral health. Like, I could talk about that forever. So I don't want to like stop doing that. I just think it would be better to do it less or do that with something else. Like, I really would love to teach somehow, like if I could help be like a clinical instructor or something. I don't know, something like that. You know, if I could do that a couple days a week and then do clinical hygiene a couple days a week or something like that, then maybe it would be less demanding. I don't know, but I don't want to say that I regret doing dental hygiene at all, because I definitely feel like it was still a good decision, and I feel like I felt at peace and felt good about like applying for the program and going to Idaho State, and yeah, I feel good about all of it. Like, I definitely don't regret doing it. I just think I had really high hopes and expectations for it, and I really thought that I would just love going to work, and I wanted to like look forward to going to work every day and like think it was so fun during the day, and I am not feeling like that right now. So I know that I'm definitely not the only one that's feeling this way. I've talked to friends from school that are feeling like this, and also like a girl that I worked with at the office that's not working there anymore. She was feeling that way, and she had only worked for a few years. So it's good to know that it's a pretty common thing for people who are doing like clinical dental hygiene to not love it as much as they thought, or just are super wiped out by it. So I'm not really sure what the next step is for me with that. I know that I want to keep working full time for now because I have the time to do it, and I'm still pretty new. Like, I've been working for almost 6 months full time, which I think is quite an accomplishment because, like I said, it's just super exhausting. So I think it's definitely an achievement to have made it this far. And if my dental hygiene people are listening to this, or if you are listening and you're a dental hygienist, then you are a champ. This job is freaking hard. And yeah. Also, to go along with that, post-grad in general is just so much harder than I thought. Like, I really miss college. I am so sad that I'm not in college anymore. And I just like loved college life, and the dental hygiene program sucked and was so hard. But college in general, I think, is just so fun. And leaving from that to all of a sudden like working full time and just like doing an adult job is way harder, and I feel like college did not prepare me for that at all. Like, it's so weird that I was just a college student, and then like now I'm working at a job every day full time with like people that are actually adults, like in their 30s and 40s. Like, it's so bizarre. It's like such a weird transition, and I feel so much like in limbo right now, and I feel like I don't know what to do next. Like, I'm like, okay, I've been achieving and having something to work towards for all this time. Like, you're in high school and you're trying to get into a good college, and then you go to college and you're working to get into a program maybe, and you're working to graduate, and then you graduate and you need to take boards, or then you finish that and you're working to get a job, and then you get a full-time job and you start working, and it's like, okay, so now I just have to do this forever? Like, are you kidding me? And then it just like stops, and I'm like, so like, what do I do next? What is like the purpose of doing this now? And it's a little bit discouraging and like a little bit unnerving to just not know what the heck I'm supposed to be doing right now. And I just don't feel like super fulfilled in what I'm doing. So if you're in the same boat, I feel ya. And if anybody has any advice on that, you can just send it my way. Because, yeah, you guys, I don't know. I'm struggling to be okay just cruising. Like, I feel like I need to be getting something done or working towards something. And I definitely feel a little bit lost, or a lot lost, maybe. As far as 2022 goes, I don't really I feel nervous and not very hopeful for 2022, which is so sad because I feel like I used to be so optimistic and motivated. And right now, I'm just not. And 2021 was absolutely 100% the hardest year of my whole life. Like, from January to December of 2021, life was just so hard. And I feel like I just got traumatized from it. And now I feel like I have very low expectations for 2022, which sounds very negative, but just hear me out. I want to be hopeful for this next year and the things that might come. But at the same time, it's like, in 2022, what am I working towards? Like, it's kind of like the post-grad thing that I was talking about. Like, I have no idea what's going to happen in 2022. Like, all the other years, like last year, 21, was the year that I was graduating college and going to start a full-time job. And it's like, okay, was that like the last year of something big happening? Like, I don't know. I have literally no idea what's going to happen in 2022. I don't know if it's going to be a year full of like working. That just sounds so depressing. So, I don't know. Maybe it will be the year that we move back to Idaho, but maybe it won't be. And if it's not, then that's going to be kind of sad. And yeah, I just don't know what's going to happen. So, if you're feeling like that too, you are not alone. We did make some goals for 2022, which, like I said before, I usually do like making goals, and I thought that if I still made some this year, that would help me be motivated. And it kind of helped, but yeah, we'll see. I am sorry if this episode was like kind of a downer. I didn't mean for it to be like that, but I just wanted to be honest and just talk about what has been on my mind and just how 2021 has been really hard. And I feel like it's helpful to just be straight up and talk about the things I'm struggling with, because I think a lot of people and a lot of times, like in general, if people are like, how are you? How many times do you say like, oh, I'm good, I'm fine? And this past year, I've been like really trying to, if someone like asks me how I am or like how my job is, I'm like, I'm going to be honest and just like tell you that it sucks. Or if you ask how I'm liking living in DC, I'm just going to be like, yeah, I don't like it as much as I like Idaho, sorry. So I think it's good to be honest and just like really say what you feel, because maybe someone else is feeling like that too. And this is like one of the reasons that I really wanted to do this podcast in the first place, because I wanted other people to feel like they weren't alone in the things that they were feeling. So that's why I like to do the don't worry, you're like not the only one who is feeling like this, because sometimes it feels like no one else can relate to you and you feel like alone in things. And so I am really glad that I have hopefully been able to help with that, like by doing this podcast, and help you guys feel like you're not the only ones who are feeling a certain way or don't like something, or, going through what you're going through. And with the podcast, it's been like such a good platform to share like my thoughts and ideas. It's so fun to tell stories and just like talk about things. It's been a really good, fun outlet. And I mentioned this, I think, a couple episodes ago, that I just didn't really know where I wanted the podcast to go. And I still kind of feel like that. Like, it's been so cool to learn about how to record and get like recording equipment and learn how to edit and make the music intro and like the sounds in the outro by myself. Like, I feel very proud of like the things that I have learned. Like, I figured out some good skills from doing this podcast, and I'm excited about that. And I just don't know where I want it to go. So I want to take a pause from the podcast. And because I'm just like not having as much fun with it anymore. And I really want to have it be fun. So I need to think about what direction I maybe want it to go. I think I want to be more specific about what I'm talking about and not just do random episodes, which that's been fun. The podcasts that I like listening to, a lot of them are just random. And so I just need to figure out maybe a better way to do that, or maybe just get a little more niche with what I'm talking about. So I'm not really sure where I want it to go, but I do want to keep it up because I still think it's a really fun, cool platform, and I like sharing my ideas and thoughts with you guys. So yeah, I'm just going to take a pause and figure out what I could talk about or do with this podcast that would be more productive maybe, or that would be more helpful, and also something that maybe would be more fun for me, because I think it was really fun in the beginning, but now I'm just having a hard time being motivated with it and having fun with it, and it kind of has felt more like a chore lately, which it totally should not be like that. Like, I want to do what I'm doing because it's fun and because it's a good outlet for me, and so I just got to figure out how to make it fun again, because I know that it's not fun to listen to like something that you don't feel like the person's enjoying it, you know? So I know that it would be more exciting it's just better to listen to a podcast when you know that the person is like loving what they're doing, and I really want to be able to get back to that. So anyway, I just appreciate those of you who are listening and that have been so supportive in the podcast. And like I said, it's not ending. This is definitely like not going to be my last episode, but there just won't be an episode for a while. So thank you for listening. Thank you for understanding. I really appreciate you guys. And as always, you can message me on the Traffic Jam Instagram. You can message me on my Instagram. You can email the Traffic Jam email. Also, remember that you are not the only one who despises flying. And also, on a more serious note, you're also not the only one who is maybe missing home right now, and also not the only one who is maybe feeling a little lost in life right now. And if you are, I'm right there with you. Reach out to a friend. They might be feeling the same way, and we're all gonna get through this together, and we can be hopeful about 2022 and make some goals. Even if you don't feel like it, we'll figure this out. And yeah, I appreciate you guys. I love you a lot, and I will see you next time. Bye.